Good morning. Welcome everyone to the November 8th Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg, a community which seeks to promote spiritual growth without dogma, drawing on our own life experiences and the wisdom of the world's traditions to shape our faiths and grow our spirits. Blessings of this week and its holidays, honoring the veterans who have served our country and also celebrating the STEM fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and their uses for peace and development. It's my great pleasure to serve as pastor of our caring congregation, and our thanks to Cynthia, Robert, John, and James for making today's service possible. And thanks to all of you who make us a caring community. As we begin our Sunday service, I'd like to ask you all to be thinking in this politically contentious time about how politics is like softball or baseball or any team game. And since children and their families might be more into games than anybody else, I'd like to ask all of you, especially children, parents, grandparents, to think about how you play your favorite games. I confess, when I was a boy in middle school and even beginning high school, if my baseball team lost, I found myself wishing I could play all 9 positions, because then I thought we would win more. But by the time I finished high school, as my teammates developed their skills, I saw that each of them had become better at their positions than I could ever be, and that I was better at my position than they could be. And altogether, we were our best. And besides, it was never going to happen that I could be the catcher and the center fielder at exactly the same time. Does that sound like a possible description of a good political system to you? A team game of voting and elections and working to make it possible for all people to live in safety and happiness. I'd ask you to think about the team games that you play. Does each person need to make a contribution to make the game work right? Don't we even need the other team in order to have the game? And as soon as it stops being fun, then you have to work hard together if you want it to be fun again. Is that not like politics? Is that not like cooperating as we vote and campaign and celebrate whatever the outcome is to become the safest, happiest people we can be? So that might be something to talk about when you take a break from playing. A few quick announcements as we say hello and get settled. Check our website and our newsletter to get informed about our activities or about us. Feel free to text or email me to talk anytime. We can also meet on the church portico in the fresh air. It's never too late to join one of our small groups. We call them covenant groups. 10 or so folks meeting to share about life, usually on a monthly basis. Let me know if you're interested. On Friday evenings, our church provides a meal and clothing to those without the blessing and convenience of a home. Everyone has been making enough donations of women's clothes, but we need more men's clothing, especially pants and shorts. So if you can bring those to the church on Friday evening at 6 or some other time during the week that you can arrange with our office, that would be just great. And lastly, a joy that came in too late to be part of the recording of our joys and concerns. Ann and Brett Freestat let us know that their apartment renovation is finally complete after 13 months, and they are now back to normal at last. Congratulations to you, Ann and Brett. And now our opening hymn, chalice lighting, and our covenant.
From the light of days remembered burns a beacon bright and clear, guiding hands and hearts and spirits into faith set free from fear. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin. From the dreams of youthful vision comes a new prophetic voice, which demands a deeper justice built by our courageous choice. When the fire of commitment sets our mind and soul ablaze, when our hunger and our passion meet to call us on our way, when we live with deep assurance of the flame that burns within, then our promise finds fulfillment and our future can begin.
Good morning. I'm Cynthia Alicea.
And I am Robert Alicea. Good to be with you this morning.
We light our chalice now as a symbol of our search for truth, our shared communion, and the saving light of understanding and caring. Join, if you will, in the words of our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love,
and to help
one another. The invocation to our spirits today is adapted from a poem by the U.S. Poet Laureate and Muskogee activist Joy Harjo. Pray now. Open your whole self to sky, to earth, to sun, to moon, to one whole voice that is you. And know there is more that you can't see, can't hear, can't know, except in moments steadily growing, and in languages that aren't always sound, but other circles of motion. Like eagle that Sunday morning, over the river, circled in blue sky and wind, swept your heart clean with sacred wings. See you, see us, and know that we must take the utmost care in kindness in all things. Breathe in, knowing we are made of all this, and breathe out, knowing we are truly blessed because we were born and die soon within a true circle of motion, like eagle rounding out the morning inside us. Pray now that it will be done in beauty, in beauty. If you have a particular personal joy or concern to share today, please type it into the comment column on the right of your YouTube screen. Or you might share it during our coffee hour check-in after this service. And you're welcome to send the joys or concerns to Pastor Jack for sharing aloud at next Sunday's service.
Our first reading, honoring the beauty and profundity of truth-seeking as exemplified by the physical and social sciences, is a small collection of 3 researchers. Winner of Nobel Prizes in Physics and Chemistry, Marie Curie, Nobel-winning geneticist Barbara McClintock, and paleontologist and theologian Pierre Teilhard de Chardin. Marie Curie. We live with a single preoccupation as if in a dream, in an atmosphere of peace and meditation, which is the true atmosphere of a laboratory. Life is not easy for any of us, but what of that? We must believe that we are gifted for something, and that this something, at whatever cost, must be attained. From Barbara McClintock. I found that the more I worked with cells, the bigger and bigger they got. And when I was really working with them, I wasn't outside, I was down there. I was part of the system. I was right down there with them, and everything got big. I was even able to see the internal parts of the chromosomes. It surprised me because I actually felt as if I were right down there and these were my friends. As you look at these things, they become part of you, and you forget yourself. The main thing is to forget yourself. From Teilhard de Chardin. Less and less do I see any differences now between research and adoration. And I see the future belongs to those who give the next generation reason for hope. Our second reading is from activist and philosopher of deep ecology systems, Joanna Macy, reminding us of our place and our power. When you act on behalf of something greater than yourself, you begin to feel it acting through you with a power that is greater than your own. This is grace. Today, as we take risks for the sake of something greater than our separate individual lives, we are feeling graced by other beings and by Earth itself. Those with whom and on whose behalf we act give us strength and eloquence and staying power we didn't know we had. We just need to practice knowing that and remembering that we are sustained by each other in the web of life. Our true power comes as a gift, like grace, because in truth it is sustained by others. If we practice drawing on the wisdom and beauty and strengths of our fellow humans and our fellow species, we can go into any situation and trust that the courage and intelligence required will be supplied.
Cynthia and Robert. In the time of the Revolutionary War crisis, Benjamin Franklin said, "Nothing is certain except death and taxes." He could have said, "Nothing is certain except death, taxes, and uncertainty." He did later add still another certainty, saying, "We must all hang together, or most assuredly, that is certainly, we will hang separately." In the face of death, taxes, and uncertainty, all must hang together or be picked off one by one. That was the spirit of 76, which got America through divisive crisis and undergirded American democracy. Government of, by, and for the people, to which we must pledge our lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, if democracy is to be sustained and if we are to be Americans. But today, many people do not make that pledge and perhaps don't even know about it. As in 1776, America is a house divided by our understandings about the realities of human nature and society, and by our responses to those realities. The division is not just a matter of true or false, but also of life experience building on innate personality traits. If the blessings of liberty for ourselves and our posterity depend on where each will stand after this division revealing election, where and how shall we stand? Probably you've heard of the French historian Alexandre de Tocqueville and his observations in 1831 on what sustained American democracy at that time, exclusionary though we see it now. Many writers like sociologist Robert Bellah, philosopher theologian Palmer Parker, and psychologist William Berquist have held up de Tocqueville's observations about America's individual and communal habits of the heart that sustained democracy and successfully resolved the community problems of that day. And they urge us to recover such practices of the heart. What are they? First, striving so that equality of opportunity, knowledge, and basic human respect exists in our community, understanding that no one person has all the answers, nor should have all the authority. What can we, individually and collectively, do to establish such equality? Second, said de Tocqueville and the scholars, ensuring that community settings exist for vivid, sustained dialogue. Meetings in the town square, democracy of the free soapbox, appreciating that otherness can add creativity and productivity, accepting tension as fodder for growth, encouraging development and trust in one's own voice in community dialogue, where personal truths are shared, enhanced, integrated, and pursued. What can we do to establish such dialogue? Third habit of the heart, recognizing the reasons for mutual support, that self-interest is served by assisting others, and that well-being depends on emphasizing we're all in this together over winner takes all. Yet understanding that excesses of idealism are themselves self-defeating. What can we do to establish such recognition of mutual support? Fourth, promoting community associations for civic good. This was particularly important to de Tocqueville in his description of American democracy in 1831. Promoting community associations for civic good to resist adversity and seek prosperity, emphasizing communal efforts and the effectiveness of collaboration rather than working alone or doing nothing. What can we do, individually or collectively, to establish such associations? Fifth habit of the heart, identifying useful action by watching what people do, not what they promise, and operating so everyone in the community sees everything as if from the front porch. What can we do to establish such practicality and transparency? Sixth, out of 7, emphasize experience-based action within the community. That is, where action is informed by experience, not theory, and where teaching one another is done by showing one another. What can we do to establish such engagement? Seventh and final habit of the heart, foster trust in one another to grow in principles and purposes, cultivated by religious or secular spiritual life, and by demonstrated commitment to seeking our best. What can we do to establish such trust? In some of these 7 habits of the heart, I think what nurtures democracy, according to these thinkers, and what democracy in return nurtures, is human relationships of justice, equity, compassion, and encouragement, and human communities of peace, liberty, justice, and grateful awareness of the interdependence of us all. These are the values raised up by our religious tradition, values that show politics to be about developing wider, deeper relationships, which is about growing the human spirit, which makes politics the same practice as spirituality. Today, amidst uncertainty, lies, and divisiveness, we ask ourselves, where do I stand? Policy analysts note that where you stand depends greatly on where you sit. The private interests on which you sit greatly position your public stand. Unless you can rise to see the larger picture, where your sense of interdependence, gratitude, and compassion can start to reorient you. In our fraught times, we know that the depth of the cushion on which you sit determines whether you get injured or not during hard times or any time. Politics determines much of the depth of that cushion and the degrees of comfort and pain with which the people sit. That is still another certainty. And still another certainty is that if the cushion on which you sit promotes contemplative meditation, you will approach your best much faster. A Universalist forebear of ours once offered a necessity to accompany these certainties. To the question, where do Universalists stand? He replied, we don't stand, we move. Perhaps we will move, like Joy Harjo's eagle over the river, naturally. Or perhaps like the poet herself, swept into wholeness by a blue sky and a Sunday morning and sacred wings. If only we'll look up and pray as the Great Spirit prays, asking ourselves to see always that we live in beauty. Perhaps we will move like the scientists, with a single preoccupation in a laboratory for dreams, in a spirit of peace and meditation, moving to fulfill our profoundest gifts, in friendship with the genes and the genius of life, liberated from cell walls to where research is adoration. May we remember that this week celebrates STEM, science, technology, engineering, math, and that perhaps we can add an A for art into STEM and get STEAM to empower our lives by adding art's vision of relational goodness, wisdom, and beauty to science's penetrating knowledge. No matter this election's outcome, no matter the setback or the boost, we have the same call going forward: to use all our arts and sciences to build relationships of caring and related caring communities within this great interdependent web of existence. Each of us is nurtured by the gracious power of that existence. Drawing, as ecologist pioneer Joanna Macy said, on the wisdom and beauty and strengths of our fellow humans and our fellow species, able to go into any situation and trust that the courage and intelligence required will be provided. Amen.
To keep our congregation thriving, may we remember our connection to one another, and let us not forget our offerings to support the means to those connections. As you listen to our brief offertory, please click on the I in the upper right-hand corner of your screen to make a contribution. You can also donate by the Give Plus app, or on our webpage under the Giving tab, or by sending a check to the church office. Many thanks.
Now, as we prepare to extinguish our chalice and hear a closing song from John and James, I offer this closing hope. May we each determine, with clear minds and open hearts, where we shall stand and how we shall move in this coming year and coming term of a new presidency. Where we shall stand and how we shall move. What will be the habits of our hearts? How may we collaborate and contribute? A week of revelation to all, and may gratitude, wisdom, and kindness fill our days. See you at the coffee hour.
And now, as our service ends, with a breath we pass the flame of our chalice lamp to each other as we say our closing words together.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth,
the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world.
Better times will come, better times will come, when this world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come, when we greet each dawn without fear, knowing loved ones soon will be near. When the winds of war cannot blow anymore, oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come, when this world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come. though we live each day as our last. We know someday soon it will pass. We will dance, we will sing in that never-ending spring. Oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come. When this world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come. Better times will come. Better times will come. When this world learns to live as one. Oh, better times will come. Oh, better times will come.